Now, the Australian government has decided to put an age cap on how the students, how the children below the age of 16 cannot make use of social media. Now, there is a plan to introduce legislation that will ban children under the age of 16 from using social media. The Prime Minister of Australia, Albanese, has emphasized government support for families and social media platforms accountable for preventing access. This initiative is part of a broader set of measures which are amongst the strictest controls on social media usage implemented by any country so far. The legislation is expected to be ratified within a year, with the rules coming into force 12 months after the approval in the Australian government. I'm going to start my conversation. Joining me on the telecast is Charles Thompson. He's a senior journalist and is joining me from Canada. Charles Thompson, how do you view this strong action that has been taken by the Australian government, barring children below the age of 16 from using social media? What has incentivized the government to take such an action?
Okay, it's a lovely idea, but unfortunately, Australia simply doesn't have the technology to do it. And whilst in India you might have like a DigiLocker, in Australia we have MyGov. And even in MyGov, people hack into it and take people's IDs. So the Australian government simply has no control on the way internet settings. And just on a practical sense, my mother, she's an elderly lady. Her grandchildren help her put on the phone, connect on the internet and turn it off. She can't do it, and they're under 15. Now you're telling me that you're going to ban under 16-year-olds? It's just impossible to do. I'd be really surprised to see how this is managed, because the fact is, the younger the person is, the more literate they are with the internet. And it's quite extraordinary. Even a 10 or 12-year-old child quite often is more capable of switching a screen than their parents.
I absolutely agree, Charles Thompson. I also have with me Dr. Nisha Khanna. She's a psychologist. As Charles Thompson said, you know, children as young as 10 years of age are digitally more literate and tech savvy. And you know, I have a nephew who's just about 3 years of age, and he can run social media, he can run the internet, he goes on to YouTube and he's watching his videos, and that's how things stand at this point in time. Fortunately or unfortunately, I don't know. But Dr. Khanna, how does this impact a child?
Thank you. The social media has a negative impact on the children's mind. There is no doubt about, especially the age we are talking about, under 16. So there's also a teenager, the kids, the parents, and from the house, from the school, and from their, I will say, peer pressure, all those things they learn. And what I agree with, the very easily approachable, whether it is Australia or in India, if you ban certain things also, people actually go ahead and talk about or approachable to those things in the illegal ways. Lots of countries, like how much practical things are there, maybe that knowledge as a therapist I do not have, but definitely if they are taking a step and how they are proceeding on that step, it is like you are making some policies, and how you implement and execute those policies, that is totally different process. But if they are thinking, the thought process is that we will social media, definitely this is a good thought process, but how to implement that is a totally different, because of the part of technology and what are the infrastructure they are lacking about.
Right, but, absolutely.
There is no doubt about, because these days the parents are actually approachable to the phones. Even when we are feeding the children, we are giving them the phones, iPad or the computers. COVID times, for the schools approaches, the WhatsApp groups are there, the kids are
No, but then let's also not criticize social media. Let's also not at this point of time put it down, think of it as a bane for our society, because not too long ago when COVID struck, every single individual was able to have some sort of semblance of life because of the internet, because of social media, because of your WhatsApp, and because of your the Zoom calls that you were making and holding those virtual gatherings, just to have the sanity of mind. And Dr. Pawan Duggal, when your school assignments are happening, on social media, when you have to do your college school projects that are happening on social media, you talk about digital classes that are taking place on social media, there's a lot of good that has happened because of YouTube, because of social media, because of the digital platforms that are at this point of time available at a click of a mouse or a touch of the screen at the cheapest costs. There are certain problems that are also associated with. Do you think banning of the digital medium for children up to the age of 16 is a viable solution?
It is a completely unviable solution for the very simple reason that internet has made geography history, and that we are not living in a siloed world. We are living in an interconnected, interdependent network, and much that you may try to ban, you can only try to block or ban a particular platform within your territorial jurisdiction. It just does not take it out of the ambit of the internet per se. And today, let's realize it. Banning or blocking is a 19th century mindset to deal with a 21st century challenge. It's not going to work at all under any circumstances. And the quicker you start realizing that and start coming up with cogent mechanisms, the better it's going to be, because ultimately, at the end of the day, the more you ban, the more you contribute towards more traffic on that particular websites or platforms, the more you are now dealing with youngsters and they have one propensity. The more you prohibit, the more they go in the same direction. So I think we have to look at more holistic approaches. This approach is a non-workable approach.
Yes.
May not even work from a long legal standing. And more significantly, there is still lack of appropriate clarity and huge ambiguity. Why? How you will implement it? What are going to be the rights, roles and responsibilities of service providers? What's the role of parents in that? What kind of criminal liability will come in? And how will you ascertain that criminal liability? Those are important issues that will have to be addressed, hopefully with the passage of time. Hopefully Australia realizes that it might have to calibrate its strategies, because banning may be a good political decision to make some voters happy, but may not be a pragmatic, practical solution for the times to come.
Khushbu, let's hear it from you as well. And as important points made by Dr. Pawan Duggal about its non-viability of actually practically implementing this ban. This Charles Thompson, who also mentioned about how even if you block certain sites for a certain age group, there are always circumvention of these rules. I don't know, you can get onto VPN and then access all sorts of sites and all sorts of social media platforms, and there are several others of these platforms that allow you to circumvent all these rules, and then as Dr. Pawan Duggal mentioned, that there are certain host of legal actions that will have to be taken. Your constitution will have to be amended. How is that going to happen? Is it something that can be made a reality, or are we at this point of time just talking about something which is idealistic and is not going to materialize into anything concrete?
See, I certainly have a belief that something has to be done, whereas online space with respect to teen or children are concerned. This is a serious issue which needs to be tackled. But whether banning completely social media platforms with respect to children or teens can work out, I think that's a question which is slightly difficult to come up with this kind of solution, because you're talking about children who are born with technology, with this digital. They are more equipped than then any other people out there, they know how to circumvent these things. There has been an aspect where they can come, and again, as I said, implementation part becomes a difficulty in that. You can go on with a biometric authentication, but again, that's a challenging job looking at the kind of population that we have it here. So in a way, I would put it across that you can not completely ban it, but you can where you packet it in a manner that those profiles are the one where these kind of advertisements, these kind of the advertisements which are harmful, the content which is being showed over there is absolutely moderated by these platforms. They have technology in place, they understand what's happening on their platforms. They can have extra measures that can be taken care of over these platforms rather than completely banning it. Because even when you ban it, if there is no mechanism, something like a biometric authentication or something like that, practically all these kids can have a way to circumvent that. They can create a profile. Today also you have kids which are like 10 years, 12 years on social media platform where such certain platforms do not allow. They have age restrictions, but then they are there. So practically that is actually a very far-fetched thought. But if implementation via biometrics can be done, then it's a welcome move. But I see that not happening so smoothly. But then, yes, some technological measures have to come in, because trust me, the whole world is grappling. Whereas online predators are concerned, the way they are
but even I don't know if it comes as a surprise to you, because now creating accounts, social media accounts of newborn children, because the parents wants to put in their first pictures and how the child is growing and their videos and so on and so forth. Doting parents setting up their children's account already the very first day, or even before that, before the child is born, and you're putting out these pictures and then creating these accounts.
But imagine when the children, that child attains the age of 18, goes 21, 22, do not want to relate the things which are put across social media platform and is being there available everywhere. What happens then? So practically, he doesn't have a right over himself. That's where I think you need laws like, the California has a law where each child, after attaining the age of 18, can request social media platform to completely delete everything which is there before that, and they are to oblige it without keeping any copies. If these kind of measures come in play, understandable that an absolute deletion of whatever content has been put across of the child by their parents the moment they are born to,
even by their parents, but also by them, because when you have a 10-year-old or a 12-year-old, what kind of sense would he have or she would have to put out content? And at that point of time, it would seem that it's the most brilliant of the ideas, and when you are 16 or 17 or you are more mature, you look back and that's the most embarrassing and the humiliating moment of your life. But I don't know how I don't know how seriously we should take this, or we should just go with the flow. Charles Thompson, coming back to you now, you said that when you put in these restrictions and they make it criminal to have children below the age of 16 to have social media access. Do you think another solution can be that parents and teachers can voluntarily be more conscious and not give in to the stubbornness and the tantrum throwing of their children, not giving them limited access to the internet, to social media, to ensure that they have a holistic growth and they are not just stuck to their computer screens?
Okay, so firstly, if the government was to say that in all schools, mobile phones must be put in a locker for the whole time they were at school, I could understand that. That's something that could be implemented, and it's very simple. But now tell me, when a young child goes and stays with their grandparents, and their grandparents is not internet savvy, and the young child picks up the grandparents' mobile phone or laptop and accesses it, are we going to arrest and put the grandparents in jail? I mean, the Australian government still has not understood that elderly people in Australia cannot understand the internet, they don't know how to use it properly, and children at the age of 3, you can ask them, they don't know how to read, but they can pick up a phone and through speech can ask the phone or the Google device to play what they want to see.
Absolutely.
So they're really, without coming out with a clear detail, they're really putting themselves in an impossible position. And unfortunately, and I stress this again, the Australian government, both state and federal, has shown time and time again that they're not themselves that literate with protecting people on the internet, out with their own platforms or managing their own platforms. So how are they going to get parents to manage this with children. But the idea is wonderful, but I think it's completely impossible. And no, they've got to come to step-by-step fashion. And of course, governance about school children in the schools, I can understand that.
Also, I want to delve on the aspect, Charles, about when there are these young kids and they make social media accounts and they are on TikTok and Facebook and Instagram, and they are making these platforms lucrative. They are earning money out of it. So, what kind of laws are you going to put, and how are you going to justify if a child's suppose it's child's creativity that has been put on social media, that has been put for public viewing, public consumption, and would it not mean that the government is curtailing the creative abilities and the chances of the child actually wanting to grow the platform and I don't know, stopping him from achieving his potential?
Absolutely. But look, I'll give you another practical scenario. Every child catches a bus, a train, or a ferry. And in Australia, every young child, they don't travel with their parents. They travel with other young children and they spend their whole time on their smartphone. So are we going to arrest the bus driver?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just ludicrous and it's just impossible. They need to come out with better tools. You see, in Australia, we have something where content that's put on our legacy platforms is age-based. So if, at under 18, you're not allowed to watch certain things. They need to look more generally at what's being shown and what is accessible to all children of all ages and work on that path about the internet. But trying to specifically target children under 16, it's simply not. And imagine if they manage to pull it off and one child at school learns how to jailbreak a phone or an iPad to have access. They're not going to share that with every other child, and then they're not going to share that with the parent. So you're really putting yourself in an impossible situation. But I can understand the desperation of the government with the fact that children now, and we see them everywhere, rather than play sport, rather than be outdoors, they're using their smartphone.
Yeah. So therefore, can there be, voluntary actions taken by the parents, by the teachers to limit their screen time and allow for them to have normal childhoods? But I'll come back to you, Khushbu. Let me get in Dr. Nisha Khanna, because what was normal for me and you and our previous generations, can we just impose our quote unquote normalcy or the way we have been brought up, have grown into their sphere of lives, which is completely transformed over the years, and what right do we have, and also how is my normal the same as a Gen Z or a Gen Alpha's normal today?
The basic thing is, when again we are talking about Gen Zs or alpha image, the basic thing is for them, approachability to internet is their lifeline. It's like earlier the basic needs were about food, shelter and all those things. Now you can add mobile or internet in that. If you ask the basic question to the children or a human also these days, if you need 5 things, basic things, the people will say, I need my mobile or a laptop. It's become the part of our lifestyle.
Absolutely,
or our
absolutely.
normal daily routine. Again, I would say that says that it is not only the problem of Australia, America or any other country. It's a basic problem. When you are having resources, then the drawbacks will come along with that. Like when you put up certain laws also, I would say the idea is wonderful. How we can implement it and how we can resources, I do not know, but lots of families, even I do not know, lots of people who are like, even the families who are using internet, even launching these things, the iPhones, they are actually banning their own kids also not to use the iPhones or the internet or not to use the Twitter. Just understand that they know the drawbacks of those things. How we can work on technology, whether it is Australia, America or India or any other country, we have to think about on the holistic approach, because when we talk about the porn websites, we talk about other the drugs and all those things which we are making it legal, how we can make it the feasible, which sort of content should be on internet, what would be the age group, and how we can define the age group is right to watch those contents, and how the parents can control like the content the kids can watch on the TV.
Right.
Can we control the content they are watching on the internet? Maybe through
Right.
the internet facility.
Okay, there's an audio issue, Dr. Nisha Khanna. We'll try to fix that. We'll try to fix that audio issue. Khushbu, you wanted to make a point, and yes, as Dr. Nisha said, that a 3-year-old, I think the top demand for a child at this today, at a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old, is he wants a smartphone. Khushbu, would you like to respond? You wanted to make a point.
Yes. My point over here is we are not talking about banning phone or smartphone in the kids' life or banning those iPads and laptops which they have it today, because yes, we are in the digital age and these kids are born in the digital age. We cannot take that or separate them. But when we talk about social media, we have to separate social media from internet only on the part that social media depicts a lot of things which are so not real. There can be an aspect of body shaming. I start feeling bad about my body because I'm not coming to a certain level. There is a glossy life which is being showed across globe with similar age group, and you feel that your certain body parts are not appropriate, or you feel under privileged for that matter also. So that fear of missing out and that body shaming and all those things. These things can start coming at the age where your mind is to build and you need to get strong mentally at that time. And that's the time if the social media can have an impact on those kids or on those teens, if where I think we are talking about today, and the government are been thinking and working about. Because we cannot deny the kind of glossy things that are coming on internet, the kind of body that appears on the internet, the misogynist comments on boys for that matter, and the unrealistic world that it shows or depicts and how things should be.
But it's not, it's not limited. It's not limited to the social media. When you going on internet and all these internet sites and all these platforms, and there are these celebrities and there are these influencers and how they look and how they dress and what they eat and where all they go. It's not just contained to the social media menace, the web that has been created by social media. It's also available, if you go to Google and you find out about a certain person, you want to Google and find out more about them, you will find that entire list, and you can search, and you are in that entire process of just in a deep hole where you're searching and you keep going on for hours together. I'm also let me also get in for a quick word from Dr. Pawan Tugal. So all these issues that we have discussed about, what should be the solution? We had been discussing at length at certain time ago when internet was the new thing in town, and we spoke about whether internet is good for us or internet is bad for us, and we have accepted it, and it is an indispensable part of our life. Do you think social media today is an indispensable part of our life?
Well, social media is here to stay. So to say that I'm going to ban social media is trying to say, let me ban the sun from my territory tomorrow morning. That's not going to happen. Sun will still rise. Therefore, let's try to focus on making our children more empowered, more resilient, by telling them what the dangers are waiting for them in this digital ecosystem. Now, whether the child is 16 or not, if at 16 plus 1, you don't want him to come and jump into hot waters without even being prepared for it. And mind you, with so much of blood on the mouth of the lion is going to really go ahead and oppose any kind of banning process. And now you're effectively going to go ahead and encourage people to use virtual private networks to go ahead and access the banned kind of platforms. Therefore, I think Australia needs to introspect, needs to learn from example of other countries to say, look, banning as a phenomenon is a non-effective remedy today. You try doing that and you'll end up on your face. Therefore, more holistic approach of creating more capacities, sensitizing and empowering the relevant stakeholders is the best way going forward. Start making changes, no problem in your law, but make those changes which are not paper tiger, but changes which are capable of being properly and practically implemented in a real-time manner, because at no point of time should your laws be in mere cloud thin line. You need to be on the ground, and today's ground realities are constantly changing. And now with the youngsters using artificial intelligence for social media activities, it's a different ball game altogether. Therefore, a fresh relook at existing strategies could be a good strategy going forward.
Absolutely. On that note, I thank all of you for joining me on the telecast.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.